All right. Oops. Let's bring this over. Hello, hello. All right. Listen, if you are a packaged food maker or you're making anything in a package, right? It could be for body care, it could be food, it can be for pets. I don't care. This video is definitely for you. So it's a big investment, right? To go into a farmer's market. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about mistakes that I see makers make a lot, vendors make when they go to farmers markets, and they're just leaving money on the table. Right. And so on today's Unwrapped, we're going to talk about markets. This could be farmers markets. This could be holiday markets, pop ups. It doesn't matter. Anything where you are showing up with product, you have a table and signage, and you are trying to sell things. So if you stay with me till the end, we're going to have a great time. I'm going to tell you these 5 mistakes not to make. Right. And I'm Sari Kimbell. I'm the creator of Food Business Success, and I help people start and grow packaged food businesses. But this is definitely something that is applicable for any kind of product business. So, I would love for you to, as we jump in here, I would love for you, feel free if you're live here, you can go ahead and type in any questions that you have. I can answer those. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's really helpful. So let's jump in. You guys may or may not know that I run a farmer's market. And it's actually a winter market. So we just started last weekend. And whenever I go to farmers markets, I always am looking for what's working, what did they do really well, and what what are mistakes that people are making? Where are they leaving money on the table? And there is a big difference, right? There is definitely a difference. And because I see people's sales, so people check out with us, right? And I look and I'm like, interesting, right? I see how it correlates. So I know that this is actually true. And you guys might not know, I used to work for Whole Foods Market and I was a marketing director there. And so I was very cognizant, very aware of the things that help products sell. So I'm always looking at it through those eyes. I've worked farmers markets, been in this industry for a long time. All right, so here's the 5 things. First, asking people to guess at your name, your product, your business name, what the product is, and the price. This kills me, right? Like you got to have clearly marked, clearly identified what is your brand, right? And it's really helpful if the name of your brand is somewhat related. Um, and let me back up. I want you to get into the mind of a customer. Somebody's at this market. They're walking along, right? And I'm 5'7", so they're about yay high on average, right? Plus or minus 12 inches. And they're maybe with friends or family, right? They're with other people and they're walking and they're talking and they're kind of looking ahead and they're doing this, right? And this is all you're going to get. You're just going to get this amount of movement usually, and they're walking along and you're just trying to captivate them. You're trying to get them to look at your booth, to have interest, to come over and talk to you. And if we aren't super clear right away on what the heck is this product, what the heck is your name, and God forbid, this is the worst. One of my vendors this last weekend did not have the price at their booth. You guys have to post your prices. People hate asking about how much this costs, and most people will walk away before having to ask you because we don't like to talk about money, especially here in the US. So really make it very clear exactly what this is from a distance, right? And remember, and this is kind of on to the next thing, but remember that people are walking, they're at eye level, right? Or they're up higher and your table is down here, right? It's way down low. And so your table, the height of the signs are very important. I love for indoor events, I love those pull-up banners, and I have done those for some clients, and I see the vendors that have those, and they make such a difference to get that information and the product photo and some of those things up like much closer to eye level than people having to look down and try to figure out what's going on your table. So with your table, a table looking empty, not abundant, right? We want a table that looks full, that like imagine put yourself in the buyer's shoes, the customer's shoes, that if you're walking by and they see like 2 things, little things on there, it just doesn't feel very welcoming. It doesn't feel abundant. When I used to do farmers markets, it was for a farm, so we had produce, but we specifically would like really overstock it, like really make it full. We've got product up. So we were using boxes and different things to get height because, again, your table's really low, but people are walking. And unless they're really looking down, they're missing it, right? So getting it up higher. And so making it more interesting, having levels and layers is really great. It makes it look full and abundant and welcoming. So we used to actually throw out a lot of product, it was produce, but because it was so important to have it look abundant and full. And again, because your table is low, like if you have like pies or I don't know, baked goods or something, right? And they're just laying flat. Again, it's not easy for me as a customer to figure out what's going on in that box. So, if there's any way that you can stand one up, take one out of the box, yes, you may have to throw it away or eat it later yourself, give it away. But get it up higher and get it facing me as close, so it's facing out, not just laying flat on the table. Listen, I know that customers are going to shop in theory, but there's this it's a little bit uncomfortable, right? We wanna give them every reason to come over and give them no reasons to say to walk on by, right? So, definitely, get things up higher, have your table look abundant and full, and if you can't, let's say your product is not one like it's frozen for instance, um and you're like, "Well, I can't just set it out or it won't work," right? I have, a client who does these butters, and they're frozen, like, in summer markets, you can't you can't put those out on the table. So she actually wrapped, like, little hockey pucks or something that were pretty close. She got these dowels cut down. So she was able to wrap them, so they're, like, not really butter, but they look like her product. So that's one option you could do. Another option I was thinking about this, that we had a chili guy at the market last weekend, and, it's like cold chili and he doesn't wanna leave it out. I would bring, like, beans and the peppers or things like that that are representative of what's going on in there and put those on your table. So, if you can't put the actual product out there or as in addition to, bring out ingredients. So I've had beverages, right, like kombucha or something where, let's say there's lemons and ginger in it, then go buy a lemon and ginger and put it on the table. It helps to really communicate visually. And with your signage, if there's too much wording going on, like, we learned this at Whole Foods where someone's only seeing about 1 out of every 10 messages, and if there's too many words, they're just not taking it all in. It's just way too much. So keeping things really clear, really simple, lots of white space, not having too much words on your signage. Let's see. Okay. Another mistake, something I saw, I was like, "What's going on here?" People sitting down, a lot of sitters, right? And I hate those lawn chair like those camp chairs. Those are just a no, no, no. If you need something to kind of lean on, get a stool, get one of those folding stools. You can find them on Amazon. And that way you're kind of propped up a little bit more and, you don't look like you're just, like, super relaxed hanging out, right? People, like, in their brains were like, "I don't wanna bother them." Wearing sunglasses. I don't know why, but this was happening. So, please don't wear sunglasses. I mean, I know that sometimes you're outside, but if you're inside, definitely do not wear sunglasses. Even if you're outside, I would recommend not doing it unless you absolutely have to. We don't want anything creating any discomfort for somebody else. Also, if you're just looking too stiff or too bored, if you're just like hands behind your back and you're just like a robot, right? So if you have a food product or even if like a body product, samples are the easiest way, the best way to make people feel comfortable. Like you can smile and you can generally be like, "Hey, would you like to try a sample?" Right? You want to be really welcoming, really encouraging. We're trying to captivate people to come into your world, into your booth space, so that we can do the three C's: captivate, connect. That's where you can talk about the product, right? Now you get to talk to them, and then we can convert. How many of those would you like? Okay. Um, Pricing too high or too low, which you're like, really? One of my vendors, I was like, there is no way that you should be pricing this at $2. Like, I was like, your cost of goods sold for sure was not under $2. And this is like, you are not charging enough. I know that's generally not the case, but I can tell you this vendor definitely needed to do the pricing for profit workshop and do the cost of goods sold. In any case, a lot of times we're pricing really high, and I get that we can't. Sometimes it just can't be avoided, right? Um, but oftentimes at farmers markets, when things are, especially like food products, are over like, I don't know, somewhere in the $10 to $12 range, it starts to get a little sticker shock for people, right? And so my recommendation is to have multiples. So the example I'm thinking about is the chili guy, and I think he was selling one bottle for $16. And that's all he had. One bottle, $16. And to me, as a customer, when I've never tried your chili, and yes, he did have samples, so you could definitely try it, but it's like it's a big investment at $16. But it was like 32 ounces or something. It was huge, right? So my recommendation for that is I always want you to have ideally, I'd like for you to have more than one product. So if you only have one flavor, then do a small and a large. So at least you give some people you give people a little bit of choice. Um, something like that, he could do like a spicy and a mild too, could be an option, or bold and mild, something like that. But what I would do is on that pricing, I would definitely offer a smaller version that's more for like somebody like me. Like I don't have kids. Single. It's just me, and I'm worried about it going bad and paying $16 for that much chili, versus maybe you price it a little bit more, but it's like $9 for that half size, right? So you're actually getting a little bit more money, but you're selling a smaller version, so that hopefully you'll get people that are like, "Yeah, I wanna keep coming, and I'll buy the bigger version now that I know I love it." But you need something like that intro offer to get people in, right? So having one product that's high priced, you're leaving money on the table. There's so many opportunities to get people in that would be willing to pay at a lower price point for a smaller size. That said, I also love bundles, right? So it's nice when you have a couple of options and you're like, hey, bundle, it's 4 for $5 on these season, or, 4 for $20 or something like that, right? So doing bundles to try to increase your sales, where people can mix and match things. So definitely recommend bundles. I do recommend having at least two options. That said, I've also seen people go way overboard with the options, right? Like, so we as humans go into like decision fatigue if there's too many options. So if you have like 8 flavors of something, I would probably only put out maybe 4, 5 max, and then you could, that's as many as I would sample, or, I would sample maybe 2 and be like, "Hey, there's these other flavors, we're sampling these today." Um, but definitely having too much choice can be really overwhelming for people, and when we go into decision fatigue, we're just gonna walk away. It's like, I don't have the brain power to make this decision. I don't know which one's the right one for me, so I'm just gonna, not. I'm gonna opt out. All right, and then, the last thing, this is a really important one, is only speaking to the features of the product. And I think that there's ways to make this a really powerful signage to get people into your booth, to get people coming over to you. So, features versus benefits. So, let's talk a little bit about that. A feature of your product would be like it's 12 ounces, it comes in a glass jar, it's made with local produce. Like you can go on, right? Organic ingredients, but it's like the feature, it's the things that describe that. And then the benefits are it's like what are the problems that you're solving for the customer? And think about products that you really like buying. I want you to go back and look. They're probably communicating the benefits, not the feature yet. So, first we have to get people in talking about the benefits, and then you can tell them, like, once they're interested, then they're going to want to know about that stuff. But we don't ever sell people on features alone. So, for instance, I was thinking about there was a body care booth, and they had a really beautiful chalk sign. I think it just had their brand name on it, which didn't tell me anything. I'm like, "Okay, whatever their name was." Um, I was like, "You know what I would put on that chalk is something like hands dry, or like winter's coming, dry cold season's here, hands dry," something like that where you're like people are like, "Oh, actually, yeah, my hands are dry." Right? Because I live in Colorado and it's getting cold. So, talking about talking about a problem that you're solving as a way to capture them, to get them, captivated and come into your booth. So, another example, like the chili guy could be not wondering what's for dinner, or need easy, fast meals on during the week. Something like that. Like, you want to communicate a problem, or maybe it's something like need a caffeine boost, or didn't sleep great last night, I got this coffee. Or sometimes it's just like an indulgence, right? Like it's Saturday morning, need something, a sweet treat, but don't just list off like scone, pumpkin scone, right? Like that's how you're asking people to do work and think about how it applies to them. So how could you actually do the work for them and get it like, "Oh yeah. Yeah, oh, I could totally like pumpkin scone. Yeah, I totally need a sweet treat." Right? You deserve it. So think about how you can communicate the benefits on your signage, not just the features. Yeah, you're going to need to put the price and the how much they get, and the flavors, all of that. Those are features, but first start with the benefits. That's what's going to get people intrigued and want to learn about it and connect with you and ultimately convert. All right. Anybody have any questions? I think those are the 5. So let me review those. Table looking empty, not getting your product up high, not like having it just flat on the table, asking people to like look down at it. So your table is a huge one. Your pricing too low or too high, and not having bundles, not having at least 2 choices. Sitting down, like your presence at the table, sitting down, wearing sunglasses, looking stiff or bored, Do offer samples. That's the easiest way to get people to come on over. Asking people to guess at prices what your product is or your name, like your brand name. Just don't want people to have to guess. And so if you have a strange name that doesn't have, I don't mean strange in a bad way, but just you have a name that doesn't relate to what the product is, you're going to want to put that in some signage somewhere so it's very clear. And then lastly, only listing or focusing on the features instead of the benefits. So looking at what's the problem you're trying to solve for the customer and help them make the connection and put this on your signage. All right. Those are the 5 that I have. And I want to let you know that you can find all of these as well as so much more. I do have a increase your sales at a market workshop, and you can go grab that. It's at go.foodbizsuccess.com/more sales. And I walk you through so many of these things, all of these do's and don'ts, and so much more than I've been able to talk about today. So go get that workshop. Um, and then please let me know what your product is below. I'd love to follow you on social media. So put in your website link or what your product is or your social media handle. Love to follow you down there. So write that in the comments and please like and subscribe to the Food Business Success YouTube channel. All right. Until next time, have an amazing week.